Hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, and today is our next AAC video, and I chose for my urban animal, the ravens. For this piece, I'm using a photograph that I took along with two photographs, the flying raven and the stone behind it, a labradorite, from Pixabay. So for this piece, I am burning for the first time on the Strathmore mixed media board. This one is a little different from the illustration board as it accepts wet media as well. And I had every plan of putting watercolor on this one. But by the time I was done, I loved it just the way it was that I didn't. But first, if you're new to my channel, I just want to let you know what the Animal Artist Collective is. The Animal Artist Collective was founded to provide a platform for emerging artists, promote positive message for animal welfare and conservation, and connect artists to the communities. The original artwork produced for the Animal Artist Collective is always made available for sale, and at least 50% of the proceeds are donated to a nonprofit animal conservation organization. In fact, for my charity for the urban animals, I am donating 50% of this raven piece to Arizona in Williams, Arizona. It is a wildlife park that most of the animals that are located there or live there now have been relocated because they entered urban areas, and rather than killing them, they were moved, or they were found after wildfires and whatnot. But some of these bears and other animals did enter the cities and scare people, so they had to be moved. For the AAC, we are now up to 9 artists, and I want to welcome our newest guest artist, Mary, and I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'm sorry. I will have all the links for all 9, well, I guess it would be 8 because you're already watching me, all 8 artists down in the description. I also like to create a playlist with all of their AAC videos for easy access. So please make sure you go share the love and watch their wonderful animal pieces that they created. Along with watching me burn this piece and how I created it all, I have also included 2 videos that I took of ravens either playing or flying in the yard, which will pop up now. And I found the slow-mo on my camera and happened to hit it when the raven took off, and it was just awesome. So I really wanted to share that. And then later on, I was able to capture a raven playing in the snow. So to the burning, I used my spear shader a lot, and with this paper, where I am normally burning, under a heat setting of 4, I actually had to burn this piece on a setting between 4 and 6.5. Sometimes it got a little toasty for my hand when I had to really get those darks. This mixed media board burns a little differently than watercolor paper, and I did sometimes feel like I was kind of fighting with it, even though this is a vellum tooth, meaning a smooth paper or board, because it is actually quite thick. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and this is I cut this down. This is a 7 by 11, so I'm having to use much higher heat than I normally do. I am overall happy with how it burned, and I do need to do a full review on the paper, and we'll go from there. So I'm just putting in, it looks like I'm outlining, and you always hear me say don't outline. What I'm actually doing for this is I'm going up against the edge of the feather that's overlapping and putting down the darker shaded area so that the feathers are sitting on top of each other versus outlining each one. So I know that may kind of throw you off, especially if you've been around with me for a while and heard me say don't outline. I'm not outlining, I promise. It looks like it, though on the smaller feathers I did kind of lay them in, and that's just to kind of get the shape because I did not transfer them from my photo that the pattern that I created. So that might be a little confusing, but you'll see that I work them in so that because in the photo, and I will pop up the reference photo, the different ravens that I use for the reference photo, it'll make more sense. Overall, this piece took me about 17 hours to burn. And the thing is, to create my pattern, to find something that I really wanted and was happy with and it was different, took about the same amount of time. So I spent a long time with different photos that I took, trying to find the best layout. I didn't want a typical, what you've seen in the past, raven piece of, sitting. Not that anything's wrong with any of those. They're all beautiful. But I really wanted something different. And I went looking for what stones were associated to ravens. And that turned out to be a labradite. And though you can't see it right now because it's just lines, the labradite, the stone that I picked from a photo that I picked from Pixabay, say that 3 times fast, kind of looks like a forest, just a very abstract layout of a forest. So I really thought that worked beautifully with the layout. And even then, by the end of this, I've already changed my layout at least one other time, meaning the band that I have around it, the frame, I decided not to do it because I feel like it's going to take away from the piece and throw off the balance. I didn't do the watercolor that I was going to add to the stone so that you could tell it was a stone. And so this piece changed multiple times. Now let's quickly talk about ravens in general. I have been in love and have always adored crows and ravens since I was a little girl. Can't tell you why. I just was always fascinated with them. And so my first time I ever burned a raven, it drove me nuts with all the darkness and trying to get the highlights. And I swore I was never going to do a raven again, no matter how much I loved it. This is now my 4th piece and my 5th raven. So basic facts of ravens is that they are omnivores. Their group name, if you see multiple together, is actually called an unkindness. Their average lifespan in the wild is 10 to 13 years. Their size is 24 to 36 in wingspan and 3.8 to 4.7 feet in length. They can weigh up to 2.3 pounds, and they are least concerned as for their red list status or conservation status, and current population trends are increasing. In winter, common ravens may gather in flocks and forage during the day together and roost at night to keep warm. For the rest of the year, they will pair off and are believed to be monogamous and mating for life, or you will see them just with a few other ravens that are they allow within their territory. Those tend to be young from previous hatchings. They all live together, but at the same time apart, if that makes sense. They build large stick nests in which the female lays 3 to 7 eggs each spring, and I saw that the eggs can range in color from green and blue and be blue with green speckles and all. I didn't realize that their eggs weren't white, and I think that's really cool. Both parents care for their young, which remain dependent for several months. Now, I do believe, because in our yard we get ravens, and we get them all the time, and that's where I get the videos from, and there'll be another one coming up, but not from the yard. Anyway, I love watching them. I feed them peanuts, and sometimes they will come talk to me. But on this particular day, I noticed that one of the cats that lives outside had gotten a chipmunk, which always upsets me. And Pretty doesn't immediately kill and eat them. He grabs them and plays with them and then kills them and whatnot. But this particular day, Pretty was laying in his spot with the chipmunk, and a raven flew onto one of the tree branches and was croaking at Pretty, and Pretty would glance up at him and then ignore him. And then the raven landed within a couple of feet of Pretty and was walking around the cat trying to get him to drop the chipmunk, because as it turns out, ravens hunt game. They've been known to team up to hunt game together to catch a larger piece that may be too large for a single bird. They also prey on eggs and nestlings of other birds, such as coastal seabirds, as well as rodents. So there's our chipmunk, grains, worms, and insects. Ravens do dine on carrion and sometimes human garbage. Oh, look, this is the raven playing in the snow. I happened to walk outside and it was awesome, so I had to record it. Anyway, so the raven kept wanting Pretty to either do what he was going to do with the chipmunk or drop it so he could have it. And this went back and forth, and the raven kept getting closer to Pretty, was not scared of the cat, and yelled at Pretty. And Pretty decided he was too close and went to kind of just yell at him to go away. And at that time, he dropped the chipmunk. Chipmunk ran up the tree next to me. So I was trying to protect the chipmunk, because as it went up the tree, it turns out the raven went up and Pretty was at the bottom. And that poor little chipmunk was stuck in the middle. In the end, the chipmunk won. Pretty was not happy. And I got a little bit of a stink eye from the raven and then fed him some chicken. So all was good. Ravens are highly intelligent birds. And there are so many wonderful videos across the internet that you can watch, anywhere from ravens figuring out how to open the shell of their food in Japan to up in Washington State, a little girl feeding the ravens and then bringing her trinkets and shiny things that they find as gifts to say thank you for that love and support. I also want to mention that the raven is found through multiple cultures across vast areas of water, anywhere from across Europe, and even the current superstition that if the 6 ravens ever leave the Tower of London, the crown in Britain shall fall. And if you haven't heard that one, it's really interesting, and there's a lot more that goes to it, so I would definitely look that up. To the native cultures here in America, depending on what part of the country you're in, the raven can be considered a trickster, but in general, for the native cultures, from what I was reading, the ravens were, though tricksters, tended to still be heroes of some kind. Now, in a few of the, actually I think there was more than just a few of the tribal legends, the raven is who brought the stars or light to the sky, and that is part of their creation story. Now, my husband did a painting of Raven Brings the Stars, and it was absolutely gorgeous to go from a black and dense sky to the raven bringing the stars. It was very beautiful. So now, with my piece, I'm almost done. I've put in the labradorite, and it may be hard to see how I mean that the labradorite looks a bit like a forest, and I have removed that border, and I'm just trying to tighten up the stone a little bit without outlining it. I didn't want any shadows behind it. And look, now you're getting my hair, because at this time, even though I have my hair pulled up, my window is open, and we had a beautiful thunderstorm building, and the wind was blowing, so my hair fell out of its, how I have it up, and that's why you're getting it across the screen, and I'm so sorry about that. I couldn't re-record, and I couldn't take it out of the video, so we get a little bit of me in there. Right now, the working title for this piece is just Ravens. I haven't come up with anything yet. And just to finish it off, I did like using an X-Acto knife on this mixed media board. I could actually lighten up areas of the burn without really damaging the paper. So I was definitely happy with that. In fact, we're going to zoom in here in a second so that you can see that I'm trying to reshape the beak. I didn't like how it was looking. This should have been a little thicker because ravens' beaks are thicker. And so I'm just trying to lay that in with a knife, and we're still getting my hair. At the end of the video, I just could not get rid of it. So this piece is up for sale, and $250 of it will be donated to Arizona. And if they don't take donations for some reason, because I was having a hard time finding that on their website, I will definitely find another charity that could use the money and support to help all animals. A little bit more of the ball tip just to tighten up some things. And here is the finished piece. So thank you so much. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and like and share. Happy burning, guys. Bye.